그러한 작업을 해주신 분들에 대해서 감사드립니다. 거기에는 폼페오 장관뿐만 아니라 조선 측의 그러한 여러 참여자분들에게 감사드립니다.
Thank you very much. It's fantastic.
Tabata, my man, my G, you have got to calm down with these chapters, bruh. This is just too much fire. I'm gonna have to call the fire department soon. I swear. I saw sparks coming from my phone as I was reading this stuff. Seriously, fam, you trying to burn me alive with this heat? Cause it's working. Welcome back, everyone. Last week, we got our first glimpse at Asta after the time skip, and in just a few panels, he was already showing major improvements in his fighting ability, as well as his grasp on his swords and how to use them. We explained why he's able to call back his swords to him, as Licht explained in chapter 229, when he said that the swords have the power to connect people. Asta has seemed to have done this with all 3 swords now, which is due to the weather of the Grand Magic Zone in chapter 229. So as we all know, 6 months is a long time in Black Clover. A lot can happen, and I mean a lot. This chapter blew our minds with how much stronger Asta has become. What kind of training did he do? Even for Black Clover, this is impressive progress, and I seriously doubt most of the bulls have gotten as strong as him in the time they had to train. Why else would the narrative in chapter 229 proclaimed by the Queen specifically point out Asta for his growth even though he has no mana? Asta's new abilities are simply incredible, and he's becoming one of the best characters in the manga right now. Today, we're gonna go balls deep into this week's chapter. And of course, Adele's got a new theory regarding Asta and Yuno towards the end of the video. So without further ado, let's cue the intro.
You don't fuck with neck, bro.
So, the first thing we notice is that the people of Spade are being held captive, and they are crapping their pants afraid of the soldiers and specifically the leader who has a disgusting power. They're so afraid that they're convinced they can't leave and they'll never be able to. They believe this is undoubtedly what their lives will amount to. But Asta is shockingly confident that he can handle anyone that gets in his way, almost like he's done this before. Or maybe he's just gotten so strong that there hasn't been a single enemy he hasn't been able to beat in quite some time. Either way, my dude is sure he can save everyone there. He better be, because it's not long before reinforcements come to subdue him. But no matter, he simply calls his Demon Dweller sword out of his grimoire and uses a new, never before seen spell called Black Slash. It kinda reminds me of Yami's Dark Cloaked Lightless Slash, but I'm sure it's much different, you know, since it's anti-magic. But honestly, not only does my boy look like Yami, he can fight like him too. What are you trying to say here, Tabata? Is Asta gonna be the new vice captain or something? It actually is a lot different, because now he can fight enemies from a distance, canceling out their magic. He doesn't have to worry about magic projectiles, and he can even fight airborne enemies. And this is only the beginning of what he can do. There's a whole lot more to get into. Apparently, now he can also block multiple types of magic at once. Let's say 3 enemy mages throw fire, lightning, and water shots at him. He can cancel them all out at once. This is useful because he's fought many enemies where being able to do this would have been helpful, but he had no clue how. If he can fly on his sword, call all 3 of them at will, shoot anti-magic, and block anything sent his way, then what can't this man do? Well, besides got a clue that no nun will ever marry him, at least I think I'm gonna go ahead and assume that he isn't over Sister Lily yet. Cause I mean, come on, he's Asta. That's like his whole shtick. If he doesn't love the nun, then is he really Asta? Now, Asta's confidence ain't for nothing, because he effortlessly cures himself of any poison or curse. He's now mastered the Demon Destroyer sword's power. The leader of the vessel he's infiltrated uses an unavoidable poison magic on him, and he starts foaming from the mouth, like it's really deadly magic. This must be the disgusting power that people spoke of. The captain of the Canderos says to Asta that it seems you too have a demon's power dwelling inside you. So not only does this insinuate the idea that the Spade Nation folk are normalized with the idea of demons, he seems to be referring back to Megicula Megicula, as the demon has possessed a human body, thus granting a grimoire and full capacity of power. Megicula must be the demon that the kingdom worships through his tyranny that Julius mentioned. Now, I wish I could talk to you all more, but it's time for me to pass it on to Adil. But I hope you enjoy the rest of the video and let us know what you think of his theory in the comments down below.
Okay, thank you Kevin for your service. That's Kevin, everybody. He also has a channel. If you have time, go check it out. He's my mate. But back to the point. As we all know by now, Asta's anti-magic demon is also looking forward to taking over his body, as this is what is required of them to incarnate themselves completely in this world. The demon world has a hierarchy system within the other world, as the anti-magic demon insinuated this idea when he called the word magic devil his senior. So when Asta faces off Megicula with his powers, Tabata is going to reveal even more details about the demon world. I'll discuss that more in a second, but can you please support the channel by smashing that like button, by the way? And of course the notification bell as well, since we cover Black Clover on a weekly basis, so I'd be really happy if you can join the community. Anyways, Asta gets poisoned, but all he has to do is call forth his demon destroy sword, and it cancels out the magic entirely, ridding him of any poison. It seems as though Asta has gained proficiency of his 3 swords. Asta then activates his Black Divider spell that he learned during the fight with the word magic devil. During that time, he struggled with the very concept of controlling that much anti-magic, which caused him to yeet the first Wizard King and even needing Yuno's help. I will not be surprised if Asta in his fight against Megicula, he learns how to do an anti-magic zone within an area as a long range attack, because logically speaking that just makes sense to me. Everyone else has a zone ability by now, right? So why can't he? The anti-magic demon shows himself in the final panel and it's epic as hell. Look at that souls, look at that flames, man. It looks epic, honestly. But I don't think this is anything like the Naruto and Kurama situation. I just think the demon wants to keep surviving, so it does its best to cooperate with Asta in battle. But since Asta is able to harness more of his strength, it's pretty obvious why the anti-magic demon is making an appearance. This is because when the demon revealed himself to Asta in chapter 97, he told him that he can lend him his power to him if he let him control his mind, right? Asta refuses the deal, but basically it's obvious by the narrative that the more Asta harnesses the anti-magic demon's power, it only makes his connection to the demon that much more. In the future arcs, I will not be surprised if Asta gains 2 wings and his body is fully covered, because in chapter 211 it shows a panel before he kills the word magic devil that his second wing was almost manifesting due to the overflow of anti-magic. Before he did the final blow, Nero states that she has sealed away his physical damage, but can he draw out more anti-magic? Then it showed him doing so, right? So if Tabata wants to progress the power scaling of Asta, this is one plot point that could be exploited. Now it's time for a balls deep theory. This theory is regarding Asta and Yuno, and we will be discussing the possibility that one of these guys must be linked to the Spade Nation in some way. We talked about Yuno possibly being a noble or royalty last week, so if you want to check out that video then please do. But essentially what we need to discuss is why is this even possible? Asta and Yuno were left at the church, yada yada yada, you guys know it all by now. So the theory goes something like this. As we can see in chapter 230, the Spade Nation clearly recognizes that Asta uses devil powers, even though the Clover Kingdom had absolutely no clue about this for around 215 chapters, until Licht and Lumiere cleared things up for them to understand. Then everyone was like, oh yeah, he is using anti-magic devil powers. Only certain characters such as Julius Novachrono knew that Asta was using a devil power, as he stated in chapter 216. He explains that Asta and Nero are using a power called Weg, and these two have ventured into forbidden magic dealing with a world beyond this one. In this Megicula arc, I think more information is going to be revealed about what Weg is, since it was name dropped and it has to be used as a plot device later on to explain what Megicula's powers are. Furthermore, since the Spade Nation recognize what the devil are, it only points to the idea of how the structure of the culture actually is. I believe what's going to happen is that Megicula is a tyrant that has been plotting to take over all the kingdoms over a number of years, and he is worshipped by them due to his overwhelming powers. This tyranny culture has been showcased in chapter 230, with the woman telling Asta that civilians are used as tools to pump up their military force and they actually have no value to them. Their very existence existence is to give up on their magic power. Now, since we know Asta is the antithesis to the entire series, as he holds the virtues of wanting to end discrimination and exclaim the idea that even peasants have value, as he proclaims this ideology once again in chapter 230, that civilians are not trash, everyone has a purpose and value. So one direction my mate Tabata can decide to take regarding Asta's backstory is linking his birth back to the Spade Nation. Since we know the Spade Nation has a tyranny and Tabata is inspired by the French Revolution in that era, that's why he is named Lumiere, the first wizard king, right? Why wouldn't peasants of the past try to create a revolution by saving a boy named Asta that could live in an entire different life so that he can save the future one day by changing it, similar to Napoleon? The chapter just revealed that devils are a normal thing in the Spade Kingdom, so they must have some knowledge about the anti-magic demon going to a magicless boy on purpose to save them one day or live a better life that they themselves as peasants never got to have. We can presume the idea that peasants of the Spade Nation traversing a Candello to Harge Village to drop him off at the orphanage, because when we look at the map, Harge Village is at the outskirts of the kingdom near the Grand Magic Zone. The Candello in chapter 229, it was explained by the captain that it's a device that rings out every last drop of magic, even from the children. This would then explain why Asta is a boy with no magic power as a baby. Essentially, Asta needed to grow up in another kingdom so that he can gain the ideology of wanting to protect civilians and be altruistic. He needed to grow up in a manner that would go against the ideals of Megicula, right? You need to set up your narrative in that manner. So Tabata has done that in the story. And as we all know by now, coincidentally, Asta is the only person that can wield the anti-magic swords, as he is part of a plan. He was somewhat manipulated by a situation to end up with these powers. The Witch Queen states in chapter 97 that Asta is the only person that can wield the swords that have now become anti-magic, since he has become magicless. The anti-magic demon himself said in chapter 97 that he is the closest person to Asta more than anyone else in the world. Why would the devil mention this to Asta if he hasn't been manipulated for a bigger plan from the start? What does he mean by saying this? Either Asta, Yuno, or the demon inside him are from the Spade Nation. One of these theories is gonna come true. We know for a fact that the anti-magic demon was not born out of the demon god, and he went into Licht's grimoire during the initial time Nera was asleep for a while 500 years ago. The anti-magic demon needed a chance to gain a host, but the only way he could get a host and incarnate himself was that someone has to be magicless, and Asta turns out to be that person, of course. Anyway, that's just a theory of mine, a bold, deep theory. I don't know if it's going to come true because it's just speculation at the end of the day, but let me know what you think in the comment section below. But let's wait and find out. There are countless, and I mean countless theories on this channel by now. One of them has to hit hard once again by now because seriously, my mana is running low, fam. I'm running out of that ballsy prediction magic. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me. As always, follow me on Twitter or Instagram to stay in the know. I'll see you guys next time.